Joshua, can you see the chat box?
Without batting an eyelid. I think it's more common, at least where I'm from, to say without batting an eye.
Okay, but I learned it today, and also I learned it to leave a bad taste in one's mouth. Easy
Mhm.
come, easy go. A dead man walking. Uh, what else? To have a trick up one's sleeve.
Okay.
An
Nice.
elephant in the room.
Yeah. Good. Those are all good ones.
Ksenia was in the same class.
Okay.
She
Cool.
knows better, I guess.
She knows better.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah. Ksenia, how's it going?
Hello, everything is fine.
Nice. Yeah. I hear you were in a class about idioms or phrasal verbs.
Yes, you're right, it's Anna.
Cool. And what else have you been up to today?
Nothing special, usual Sunday.
Okay.
Work out and work. Nothing
Nice.
special.
Okay. And Virgilio, welcome to class. Virgilio, how are you?
Hello, Joshua. I'm fine, thank you.
Nice. Okay, good to hear. And Virgilio, what have you been up to today?
Oh, I did nothing but rest because last night I attended a wedding of a friend of mine, so we danced a lot, drank a lot, so today was just lying on the swimming pool.
Lying in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, nice. I guess that sounds like a good relaxing Sunday.
Yeah.
And we also have Andre Luis. Andre Luis, how's it going?
I'm fine.
Okay. Andre Luis, where are you from?
Brazil.
Brazil. Nice. Okay. And what do you like to do in your free time, Andre Luis?
Today I stay at home because it's raining. I study English
Okay. We'd use the past tense. I stayed at home. I stayed at
because
home.
it's yes, I
Um,
stay.
okay. And I guess, yeah, what do you do in your free time for fun, though? What do you like to do, yeah, for fun? Can you hear me, Andre Luis?
Ah yes. Sorry, I have a problem with connection. Can you repeat?
Yeah, so what do you like to do in your free time? What do you do for fun?
Nothing. In this free in another I like to
In
run.
general.
I
Okay.
like to go a party and but in this weekend I have been nothing for fun exactly.
Okay. But generally, like, you like to go to run and doing other things. This weekend, I haven't done anything fun, we might say. This weekend, I haven't done anything fun. But, good. Carolina, welcome to class. How's it going?
Hello, teacher. I am doing well, and you?
Doing really well, thanks. And what have you been up today? What have you been up to today?
I went out with my family to have a special lunch, and then I came back to my home as teacher.
Okay, good. What'd you have for lunch?
I ordered salmon with
Salmon.
yeah with cheese and how can I say and pita. How can I
Okay.
say pita in English?
Pita.
Pita. Pita.
Pita.
Okay, pita. Yeah.
Um, Salmon. Can you repeat salmon?
Salmon? Salmon?
No L sound. There's no L.
No.
It
Yes, I
sounds
know.
like
Salmon.
salmon. Salmon.
Salmon. Salmon?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the name Sam. Can you say Sam?
Mhm. Some.
Sam in salmon.
Salmon.
That's a little closer. Salmon.
Salmon.
I'll have salmon. Okay, good. All right, and so today I think it'll be a story about gossip. I think there's a couple other stories that I was thinking about, but I think this will be the easiest one. There are a lot of ads, and so let's look at it. A sec. Can everybody see this?
No, it's a kind of a blurry.
Is it still blurry?
Yes, it's very
Yeah.
blurry.
Oh man. Um. Hmm. Okay. Well, you can't see that then at all.
Now
Now
it's
we can.
better. I
It's
can.
better.
Yes, we can see now.
Okay. All right. And so let's start with Virgilio. Can you read the title and the first paragraph?
Sure. About Jessie May. I don't visit Jessie May's anymore because of her untidiness, Myrtle said to Mrs. Hemlock as the two women walked through the garden, where they had been talking, toward Mrs. Hemlock's kitchen, where Myrtle was going to copy down her recipe for Bavarian cookies for Mrs. Hemlock. It was a warm spring day, warm even for San Agustin, Florida, and a certain languor in the air hinted at an early summer.
Good. Okay. Recipe.
Recipe.
Good. Recipe. And other than that, it sounded good. Maybe untidiness.
Untidiness.
Perfect. Okay. And let's have Ksenia. Can you read until closed down here?
Yes. But I didn't know it had gone so far, Mrs. Hemlock said. Nothing is under any order or control at all. That I can believe, Mrs. Hemlock said. Jessie Myers never had to do anything for herself, Myrtle said. Mrs. Hemlock started at her, the desire for more written on her heavily powdered face. You know, Jessie Meyer was twice an heiress, Myrtle said. I knew she had everything, of course, Mrs. Hemlock said, in somewhat hushed tones, as though a matter of considerable delicacy and been disclosed.
Good. Okay. So stared. Can you repeat stared?
Stared,
Powdered.
powdered,
Heiress. An heiress.
and heiress.
Hmm.
A heiress.
Yeah, it's heiress.
An
That's one of the
heiress.
words. Yeah, an heiress.
Mm-hmm.
Twice an heiress. And then hushed. Hushed.
Hushed.
Good. And so be heiress. And good. So does anybody have any questions so far? Any questions here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Eris
Okay.
and
Does any
Hushed.
go? Hushed. Okay. Heiress first. What's an heiress? Does anybody know? Okay. So it's someone who inherits a lot of money. Oh, bye, Virgilio.
Bye. See you. Bye.
See you later. Yeah, so an heiress is somebody who inherits money, and hushed is quiet. So if you're speaking in hushed tones, you're kind of whispering. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Yes, about the first paragraph. Languor. It's like weakness.
Certain languor. It's like a laziness would be languor.
Laziness.
Like a
Mm-hmm.
relaxed state, laziness kind of. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. And we ended it closed. Let's have Andre Luis. Can you read until tarts? So from Myrtle, right here, until tarts.
Martha glanced Mr. Henlock's apron and said, "That's cunning. It's Portuguese or Spanish, or something," Mr. Henlock said, opening the screen door to the kitchen. "You have beautiful things, Mr. Henlock," Myrtle said. Mr. Henlock laughed pleasantly. "I love to come to your house," Mr. told her. 20 odd years ago, before she married and had children, as a child herself she had visited Mr. Henlock, and had enjoyed her cookies and cakes, her homemade ice and tarts.
Okay.
But
So let's look at glanced. Glanced.
plants.
So up here, glanced.
Okay.
And then apron.
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 Apron. It's got an ion sound. Apron.
Apron.
And if you look in the Verbling chat, you could probably see the pronunciation written out. Apron. And what was the next one? Mrs. Hemlock. Mrs. Hemlock. And Myrtle.
Sorry?
Myrtle is the other name. Myrtle.
Myrtle. Okay.
Good. Okay. And sorry. Okay, and I think we're good. Let's have Ana Carolina. Can you read until I guess into the page?
Okay. Before, could you remind me the meaning of cunning?
Cunning. So this might be, because it's a really old story, it might be a couple of different things. Cunning is like really smart, but in kind of like a deceitful sort of way.
Okay.
At the time, it might just mean cool. So that's cunning. That's really cool. But like I said, it's an older story, so this might not be the case anymore. So it might just be that's a really cool apron.
Okay. But I can't understand Jessamine being that untidy. Mr. Hemlock said. She pointed to a large easy chair that she had brought into her kitchen for visitors. Murdo sat down with a great sigh of pleasure. "This chair!" she exclaimed, and then, having fingered the spotless important linen cloth on the kitchen table, she said, "I'm Jessie May's distant cousin, you know." "I remember," Mr. Hemlock said, moving swiftly for such a moving swiftly for such a large woman. She opened the refrigerator and took out two tall, thickly frosted glasses of fruit punch. "You devil! You devil!" Mir- Myrtle squealed. "You think of everything, and you have everything." "I'm alone," Mr. Hemlock explained, "and I have to keep busy at something."
Good. Mrs. Hemlock. Mrs. Hemlock.
Okay, Mrs. Hemlock.
Uh-huh.
Okay, squealed, teacher.
Squealed is like a noise that a pig would make. It's a high-pitched noise. So like you can kind of squeal in joy, just kind of like let out a high-pitched noise of happiness. And then imported.
What is it?
The the imported chair, what was it?
Imported.
Yeah, imported. Linen cloth.
Imported.
Uh-huh. And linen.
Okay, linen.
And then cloth
Cloth.
and jewel.
Jewel.
Yeah, so you jewel. Good.
You jewel.
Any questions here? Okay. Who can explain what's happening so far? What's happening in this story so far?
May I try?
Yeah.
Okay. Mrs. Hemlock is a lonely woman, and she has no bonds with anyone.
She has no what?
Bonds, ties.
She has no ties to anybody?
I think so. Am I wrong?
No, I think.
Because it was written.
Mhm.
No, sorry. No. I I'd rather give someone else the floor.
Okay. Anybody else? Can anybody else pick up where she left off? With what's happening? Maybe Ksenia? What do you think?
So one woman went visited another woman. Yes.
Yeah, so we have Myrtle visiting Mrs. Hemlock.
Yes. So.
Who are they talking about?
About some other woman, I think. No?
Yeah, they're talking about another woman.
Because it's about gossiping.
Hmm. Yeah. They're gossiping about another woman who is an heiress, so she's kind of rich. She seems to have everything, and also because she's very untidy. So this other woman is. We've heard a few things about her. Um, and Mrs. Hemlock seems really interested in the matter. So definitely it's a case of gossip. And let's have Ksenia. Can you read until remember?
Carolina read? Oh, I'm wrong. I
Yeah,
think
Anna
it's
Carolina.
No,
No, it's Carolina.
Read
you skipped to Carolina.
Oh, sorry,
even.
Carolina. Sorry. Carolina, can you read until remember? Sorry.
Okay. But most women couldn't bother Mr. said. Well, Mrs. Hemlock said, and drank some of her own fruit punch, hoping Mother would
Myrtle.
Mother get back to Jessie May. It's wonderful, Miller said, referring to the drink. And I suppose the recipe is a secret. No, Mr. Hembler said. And then I didn't know you were Jessie May's distant cousin. I'd forgotten that's it. Miller put her glass of fruit punch on the kitchen table. I am really one of the last of her real family. Miller spoke indifferently but with certain emphasis that implied that the relationship might be important for others to remember.
Good. Okay. So Myrtle.
Mother?
Like that? Can you see in the chat box? Myrtle.
Okay, to change the chat. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Myrtle.
Myrtle. Yeah.
Myrtle.
And so that is. I'd forgotten. That is.
That is.
I'd forgotten. That is.
I'd forgotten. That is.
And then family.
Family? Family?
No I sound, actually. So it just sounds like family.
Okay. Family.
So
No?
close. Try to drop that I sound. So just say family.
Fam?
Family.
Okay. Family. Family.
Family.
Family.
Yeah. Again, you're kind of adding another syllable in there, that I. So it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you're almost saying family.
Okay.
It's much more common to
Family.
say family. Yeah.
Family.
Okay. And okay, so we've got here, there's a kind of funny part where she says Mrs. Hemlock is kind of caught in a lie. So before we have Myrtle saying, I'm Jessie May's distant cousin, you remember. Or you know. And Mrs. Hemlock says, I remember. And then Myrtle changes the subject, and then Mrs. Hemlock says, you know, I didn't know you were Jessie May's distant cousin. I'd forgotten, that is. So she's kind of lying. She wants to bring up the subject again. Okay. Ksenia, can you read until now?
But it's a little blurry. Okay, it's okay. Jessie Mary is of course basically a fine person, Mrs. Hemlock started, fearful now that she had perhaps stressed the untidiness too much, even though it was Myrtle who had brought the whole subject up. "Mrs. Hemlock, Jessie Myers in terrible shape!" Myrtle exclaimed, and she started at her drink as though she were not going to touch it again now. Mrs. Hemlock moistened her lips. "Is she worried of something?" she asked. "Worried my food." Myrtle Myrtle picked up her glasses again and took a sip of the punch. "She lives to worry other people, if you want to know. Too much money, and not enough to do. Do you know she has a maid to dress her now?"
Nice. Good. Okay. And Andre Luis, can you read until then?
She doesn't. She doesn't. Mr. Hemlock had
Mrs.
Mrs. had stood until now in her capacity of hostess. She decided to sit down. She sat directly in front of Madeline and said again, "She doesn't. I don't think. Jessie May doesn't think for herself anymore." Madeline said, "She has 80 servants, and yet her house is so, and she keeps just 8 servants busy. Let me let me tell you," Madeline interrupted, "there must be 20 rooms in her house if there is one, and they are all in use. I was on at
Did I lose you?
lunch." Mrs. Renlock said this May Bother was more or less head of the house then.
Okay. Good.
Continue?
Okay. I think that's good for now.
Okay,
Let's look at Mrs. Hemlock. Mrs. Hemlock.
Mrs. Hemlock, of course, Mrs.
Yeah. Good. And then Myrtle.
Sorry, what is the Meadow? Okay,
Myrtle.
Meadow,
Almost. Myrtle.
Meadow.
And those 8 servants.
Servants?
Yeah, those 8 servants.
Okay, those 8 servants.
Good. And one, if there's one.
One.
Mhm.
There is one.
And I didn't hear you here, so I was only at her house in the old days when she entertained General Waite so much, Mrs. Hemlock said. Jessie May's brother was more or less head of the house then. Right. And so we kind of continue with the gossip. Anna, Carolina, can you read till the end of the page?
Yes. Well, he liked to act like he was, Murdo said. But Jessie May was running the whole place even then, and running him too. He died of her bossing, many people think. Then, of course, I've been there several times to tea, and to her,
Yeah, it'll take a second. The next word is concerts.
to her concerts.
Mm-hmm. And it'll be blurry for a second. Can you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr. Hemlock put in, rather firmly, before stepping down altogether. Oh, those are nothing. You have to spend the night there to know how it really is. For just a second, Mr. Hemlock looked.
Mrs.
Sorry. Mrs. Hemlock looked at her large red recipe book, lying open to the page where Myrtle was to write out the recipe for Bavarian cookies.
Good.
Just,
Okay, one more. One more paragraph.
okay, just May's trouble is she doesn't know what she wants until the moment she wants it. You can't get her to plan anything ahead of time.
Really well done. Okay. Yes, the only thing was Mrs. Hemlock. Be aware of that. Other than that, it sounded good. Good job with recipe and Bavarian cookies. Does anybody have any questions so far? Any questions?
Actually, I had, but I forgot the word, something that she did with her lips.
Something she did with her lips.
Mm-hmm.
I read it. Moistured, I think.
Yes,
Moistened.
I
Moistened.
don't. Mm-hmm.
It's like wet.
Moistened.
Moistened.
Yeah, so moistened. Your lips, you wet your lips. Like you kind of lick your lips with your tongue. Um, yeah, I don't know where she does it. Mrs. Hemlock moistened her lips. So, yeah, she wants to say something, but she's not sure she wants to say it. So she moistens her lips before she says it while she's like thinking about whether she should say it. But also it's like this idea of anticipation, this anticipatory motion. You know, you moisten your lips when you're about to eat something. And so it's like she's going to eat this gossip almost.
Okay, and just one more
Mhm.
question. Uh, worried, my foot, is it an expression?
Yeah. My foot is like a euphemism for what people generally say. Um, People generally say like my butt, but in a less polite way of saying it. It's just kind of, it's a way of disparaging an idea. So it's saying worried my foot. Like she's not worried at all. But that is a euphemism. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it
And
does. Can I use my foot with everything?
yeah, if somebody says something you don't believe, you can say, you repeat the last thing they said. So you want more punch? You can be like, punch my foot. You know, that doesn't necessarily make sense because it's punch. But if somebody says something you don't believe, you kind of repeat the last thing they say and say my foot, and that'd work. Yeah. Like I said, it's a euphemism that's not common at all anymore. You'd say a different body part. But yeah, good question. Any other questions? Okay. And Carolina, can you read from punch to years?
Okay. More punch? Mrs. Hembrook said, and some of my icebox fudge bar within. I'd love a fudge bar, Mother said. Mrs. Hembrook went to the refrigerator again and brought out the fudge bar neatly stacked on a dessert plate. Peter took one and allowed Mrs. Hembrook to refill her glass. As I said, Mr. Hemlock said in her matter-of-fact voice, as though to summarize the discussion so far. As I say, I was never a friend of Jessie May, but I know her for 25 years.
Yeah. So as I say, I was never a friend of Jessie Mays, but I've known her for 25 years. Can you repeat that last part?
As I said, I was never a friend of Jessie May's, but I've known her for 25 years.
Yeah. And then with Myrtle. Again, Myrtle.
Oh my god, difficult.
Myrtle.
Me, Myrtle, Myrtle,
Myrtle.
Myrtle,
Try
yeah,
it with a D sound. Myrtle.
Myr, Myrtle,
Myrtle. Yeah.
Myrtle,
Okay.
Myrtle. Okay,
And brought.
brought, brought.
Brought. So she brought out the fudge bars. Okay. And let's have Ksenia. Can you read until comprehension?
Mhm.
Sorry. Sorry. Where are we? Right. Okay. So I
Mhm.
could eat these all day.
I could eat this all day, Myrtle said, chewing softly. I wonder you don't win prizes with a culinary genius, Mrs. Hemlock. You should be famous. She finished the fudge bar and then said abruptly, I know everything about her. It was almost as though Jessie Murray herself were there before them on the TV screen, helpless and exposed to all their comments. I lived with her for a month, Myrtle said, in 1952, a month, mind you. Then, of course, you do know, Mrs. Hemlock said in a voice close to Ave. I'm afraid every minute, Myrtle said. Mrs. Hemlock showed a slight lack of comprehension.
Good. Aw. Aw.
Ah,
hmm Questions here. So a slight look of awe. What's awe?
just fair?
In a voice close to awe, it's a little bit different. It's like if you're awed by something, you're astounded or overwhelmed or like shocked. But it's kind of an impressed idea. So you can be awed by one of the great wonders of the world. So I looked at the pyramids of Giza, Giza. Shoot, looked at the pyramids of Giza with a look of awe. So you're stunned by them. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so she says she lived with this woman for some time and she was afraid every minute. And Mrs. Hemlock gives her a look that shows she doesn't quite understand. Um, and Andre Luis, can you read until purposeful?
You spoke start, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start off in her Lieutenant Mrs. Henlock. Well, Martha laughed. You won't think that anybody would be entitled with their jails, would you? Jails around everywhere. She left thousands and thousands of dollars north of diamonds in my room. Mrs. Henlock closed her eyes. Then on ev- evening I discarded I hub pen and some ink in my top, top burial drawer. Mrs. Henlock started to say something, but Myrtle was too quickly for her. I couldn't stay that kind of witness, she said, and besides, I'm not so sure it wasn't Purposeful.
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 Yeah. Let's look at untidiness.
Sorry?
Untidiness.
Entireness. Can you
Yeah.
show for me the words?
So the word is here, and then it was also untidiness up here.
Entireness.
And if you look in the chat box, I've written all the words down
Right.
too.
Okay.
And then wouldn't.
Wooden.
Wouldn't.
Wooden.
And untidy. Jewels.
Jewels.
Diamonds.
Diamonds.
Close. That's more like diamonds.
Close. Sorry?
Diamonds. Diamonds.
Diamonds.
Good. Closed.
Close.
And bureau.
Bureau.
And bureau. And drawer.
Draw.
Drawer.
Draw.
Yeah, her bureau drawer. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. And what is happening here? Can anybody explain? Maybe Anna Carolina? What's happening?
My gosh, I will try. They are still gossiping about her, and gosh, just
Mm-hmm.
it, it, they they were talking about uh, the fact that she she doesn't take care of her jewels, and it is spread around everywhere,
Yeah.
and basically that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So they're still gossiping about Jessie May. We have Myrtle, who's the younger character, and she stayed with Jessie May for a month in 1952. And she keeps finding jewels in strange places, like in her bureau drawer, so where she keeps her clothes. She finds the other woman's jewels and rings. Yeah, so some sort of strangeness. Anna Carolina, can you read until the end of the page?
Well, Miss Hemlock managed to cry. It's part of her way of getting even. But what would she wanna get?
Sorry.
Even for when she's got everything? Miss Hemlock demanded. She hates men, Myrtle said. She hates women even more, and she's not only untied. You started to use the right word a minute ago. She's dirty. Miss Hemlock let out a small gasp. I could tell you things, Myrtle said, but we're here in a beautiful tidy house with such wonderful things to get. I won't. She lay back in her chair, leaving Mrs. Hemlock with a look of complete and unexpected emptiness on her face.
Good. Wonderful things to eat. It's a little bit, yeah,
Oh,
hard to
sorry.
see. But this is
I, 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 I didn't understand. I saw a letter C and then, sorry.
It's okay. It's hard to see. It's not your fault at all. Really good reading other than that. So good. Any questions here? Okay. And all right, Carolina, can you read? You got a big one. Until 1?
Okay. Then sitting up straight again, Miller said, her whole life is to get back at everybody. Hence the servants, hence the parties at which nothing is quite right, hence the jewels strewn everywhere to make everybody feel he is suspected of stealing. And don't think she doesn't accuse people of taking them, and not just the servant. Why she sounds gone? She sounds gone. Mrs. Hember said, groping for the word. No, Miller corrected her politely, smiling briefly. Jessie Mack is just hateful. She's not gone as you say. A man, a strong, old-fashioned type over here could go a long way toward getting the house tidied up and the jewels either sold or put in a vault. She hasn't had a strong hand over him since the day her her old father died. She's done just as she pleased every second. But the thing nobody seems to know, and nobody can believe even when you tell them, is that the whole house is nothing but a haven for dogs. Jessie Mack has 30 pedigree dogs, if she has one.
Okay. Jessie May.
Which one, sorry?
Jessie May.
Jessie Mack. Jessie Mack, no, Jessie Mack.
Yeah, Jessie May, not Jessie Mack.
Okay.
Jessie May. Jessie May has 30 pedigree dogs if she has one.
Jessie May has 30 pedigree dogs if she has one.
Yeah. And Jules?
Jules.
Tidied.
Which one, sorry? Tidied.
Tidied. And
Tidied. Tidied.
Tidied, yeah. Fashioned?
Fashions? Fashions.
Old-fashioned. Okay.
Old-fashioned.
Mm-hmm. And why, she sounds gone, Mrs. Hemlock said, groping for the word. Does anybody know what groping means? Groping? Okay. So groping is like searching or grabbing for the word. Yeah. And Myrtle's correcting her. She's not saying she's gone. She's hateful. She needs to be controlled. Yeah. And Ksenia, can you read until said?
And from well, yes?
What? Yeah.
Well, I never, Mrs. Hemlock said. She sleeps downstairs. The dogs live upstairs. When I stayed there that month, she let me see the whole performance. After all the visitors leave, she lets the dogs out of the rooms, and they romp and tear and romp and tear, and that old woman runs and romps right along with them, laughing and shouting at them. And the dogs are all yelping and carrying on like wild animals after her until you wouldn't know which acted the nuttier, her or the dogs. "Good God!" Mrs. Hemlock exclaimed. "I usually never talk about Jessie Meyer to anybody," Myrtle said.
Good. Okay. And yeah, I think in one of the other classes we talked about romp. Maybe, I'm not sure who was there. Does anybody know what romp means? Okay. Okay, romp is like to play forcefully, kind of like wrestling or roughhousing. We could say romping is just like playing, and you're playing well, but you're using a lot of force, kind of like wrestling, like a friendly wrestling. Nuttier is crazier. So nutty is a synonym for crazy. And so you can't tell which one of them is crazier. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. And Andre Luis, can you read until the end of the page?
Of course, but you've been so kind and all to all of us neighbors, but especially to me, that I think of you as a confidant. Thank you, Martha. Mrs. Henlock said, "It's the truth. You've been an an animal
Ah, it's the truth. You've been an angel.
an angel. Why, you've backed for us and sent us things as thought. This was another Delmonico's. I even never tasted such cooking, and the comparison between our wonderful generosity and the neatness in normal life always comes as such as a distinct contrast with Jace Mays, who is after all my cousin, but she never does anything for anybody, and she just isn't the kind of person you want to visit.
Okay, good. Maybe uh, Delmonico's would be a store.
Delmonico's?
Yeah, I've never tasted such cooking. Um, and the comparison. Can you repeat comparison?
Comparison?
Generosity.
Sorry?
Generosity.
Generosity? Generosity?
Neatness.
Neatness?
Distinct.
Neatness?
Distinct.
Distinct?
And Jessie May.
Dress May?
Yeah, Jessie May. Okay. And Anna Carolina, can you read until the end?
Okay, from where?
But the poor old thing.
Okay, but the poor old thing, Miss Hemlock ventured. Well, with all her wealth, why doesn't she try to straighten herself out? She could have helped so many people if she cared about anybody but herself. Myrtle waited for Miss Hemlock to speak, but the older woman sat there quietly, a fudge bar still untasted in her hand, thinking about Jessie Mays running and romping with the dogs. "Shouldn't I copy out that recipe for you?" Myrtle said, finally, and she took out of her apron pocket a piece of paper on which was written her recipe for Bavarian cookies. Apple
Yeah, by James Purdy. Okay,
by
let's
James
look at
Baldwin.
ventured.
Venture.
Ventured Mrs.
Okay, venture, Mrs.
An apron.
Apron. Apron.
Apron. hmm
Apron.
hmm
Apron.
Okay. Really well done. And Carolina, what happened? Yeah. What happened in the story, Carolina?
I think that two that that those women hate Mary Jessie May
Huh?
because uh, she they are spoken they are speaking about that she's messy and I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So they're definitely talking about this woman's messiness.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it sounds like they don't like her very much. Mm, okay. Why? What happened, Ksenia, when Myrtle? hmm When Myrtle was at Jessie Mays, Ksenia. What happened when Myrtle was at Jessie Mays?
It's about dogs story.
It's what?
It's about dogs?
It's about dogs?
Yes, no?
The
She
dogs are important, kind of, yeah. What happens with the dogs?
she said it's like hell with these dogs. They are barking, um, romping. I forgot this word.
Yeah,
Romping.
romping. They're
Yeah.
not barking. Jessie May romps with with the dogs. So she plays with them, pretty much. She plays with them roughly after her guests leave. Um, yeah, okay. What else happened at Jessie Mays? What else happened when Myrtle was at Jessie Mays? Do you remember, Ksenia?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Maybe Andre Luis, do you remember what else happened when Myrtle was at Jessie Mays?
No,
Okay.
sorry, sorry.
No, no worries. Don't be sorry at all. And Anna Carolina, what about you? Do you remember? Okay. It's right here. So what happens in these two paragraphs? Anybody? So the two paragraphs right here?
Yes, it's about money. She was not very careful with her jewels, and he put them everywhere. So
Mm-hmm. Okay, so her jewels were everywhere. Yeah. Okay. So Myrtle was at her cousin's house for a little while, and you know, her jewels were everywhere. And she's talking about money a lot. Mm, Anybody have any ideas as like why Myrtle is gossiping about her cousin?
Because she envies her.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah.
well, it was written, uh, and she has a lot of dogs. If I could have one or something like that, you know, a lot of bedrooms. If I could have one, am I wrong?
Okay, she doesn't want a dog or necessarily a bedroom, but she does seem to be jealous. She mentions that Jessie May should get herself together and could help
Um,
more people with
so,
all the
so
money that she has. Yeah?
there was one phrase. Um, she has a lot of dogs. Could you um,
Pedigreed dogs. So pedigree dogs are really like fine show dogs almost.
no,
If
it
that
was
makes
sentences. It was sentence about she has 20 dogs if she has one. Yes,
hmm
yes,
something
yes,
like
thank
that.
you, Ksenia, thank you.
Ah, so she has 20
Yes.
dogs if she has one. That's an expression where it's obvious that that person has at least one dog, and so she has at least 20 dogs because it's like an if-then statement. So if she has
I
one dog, then she has 20.
I thought she was wishing one when I read it,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, really good idea. Not quite. So she doesn't want a dog. So, yeah, it sounds like these two people might be jealous of Jessie May. I guess before we're kind of out of time. We've got this thing where it seems to be like they're kind of jealous of this woman's freedom, the idea that she kind of does what she wants, and she's not stuck in social roles, which were really strict in the 1950s, because she has a lot of money, and they're trying to make themselves feel better about their situation in having these really strict roles, it's like wives, not having a lot of money, and having to do things a certain way. By like saying what she does is bad. Also, Myrtle probably stole from her cousin. So when she's talking about the diamonds and the jewels that she sees in her own bureau and she's kicked out, maybe she's coming to the neighbors. Maybe Myrtle is going to the neighbors to try to set the story straight before before she's accused of thieving from her cousin. She wants to portray her cousin in a worse light. It's kind of a crazy, crazy millionaire. Anyways, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you guys liked this story. Kind of funny. It might be a little bit difficult, but hopefully you guys liked it. Anyways, hopefully see you guys soon as well. And thanks for coming in.